Welcome back to the 76 Capital Sports Leadership Show. My name is Wayne Kimmel, managing partner of 76 Capital, the sports tech venture capital company. On this show, I interview top entrepreneurs, athletes, and executives who are truly shaping the overall sports industry. And today we're going to talk sports betting, responsible gaming, and everything about the really exciting up-and-coming G2E conference in Las Vegas in October. And we have two great guests on our show. First, we have David Forman, the Vice President of Research from the American Gaming Association, the AGA. Can't wait to talk to Dave about all the things that are happening that in his world and everything that's going to be going on with the AGA and at G2E. And then our second guest on this special edition of our 76 Capital Sports Leadership Show is Korbi Carrison. Korbi is the event Vice President of G2E and is someone who's making all the pieces come together, and you're going to hear about all the exciting things at G2E. But first, we're going to get started with Dave. Dave, welcome to our 76 Capital Sports Leadership Show.
All right, thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Yeah, really excited to have you here. Certainly we want to talk about G2E and the big gaming conference. I mean, it's the world's largest gaming conference in the world in Las Vegas in October. But before we jump into that, at the AGA, you're responsible for putting together a lot of the really interesting research around what's happening, especially in and around the world of sports betting and in the gaming side of things. And I'd love to hear from you. When you step back, May 14th of 2018 was such a big day when, the Supreme Court, stated that PASPA was unconstitutional, and all of a sudden you can have sports betting outside of the state of Nevada. And now here we are, a couple of years later, and, tell me kind of how far we've really come since that day.
Yeah, I remember it vividly. Mercifully, I was actually on vacation in Europe, and I remember my phone kind of going crazy, and I was fortunate enough to be able to kind of put it down and ignore it for a day or two. But it was a really big day, and I was new to the industry at the time, and I don't think I understood how important it really was for gaming and really for the whole sports landscape of the United States. I mean, that was only a few years ago, and I think if you talk to people who have been around politics and gaming a lot longer than I have, none of them would have ever expected that we would have 31 or so states that have legalized it just a few years later, where we are today. I think I saw an article this morning or yesterday that we just crossed $150 billion in total handle that's been wagered since PASPA was overturned. So I think it's been really momentous, and it's grown a lot faster than people have thought in terms of the geographical expansion. And I think the revenue is continues to grow at a pretty good clip. I mean, year over year through July of this year, we're running 60% ahead of where we were last year. And some of that is new geographies that have opened up this year that weren't there last year. But a lot of it is people, even in states like New Jersey and Pennsylvania, places that have been online for a while, continuing to bet on sports. Nevada, I think, is the best example of a storyline that never really developed. Everybody at the time, you heard a lot of people saying, well, this is really going to have a negative impact on sports books in Nevada because people won't travel here to bet on sports anymore. They'll do it at home. And half of that is true. People aren't doing it at home, but they're also traveling to Nevada and continuing to bet on sports there more and more than they did before PASPA. So, we've seen the market grow, and people are really excited to be able to do it legally, right? I mean, you see states like New York that go from 0 to $1 billion. Those aren't people who just saw an ad yesterday and decided I'm going to bet on sports for the first time. They've been betting on sports this whole time. They can just do it legally now.
And that's certainly a big thing that we care about at 76 Capital. I know that's a huge thing for you in the AGA. You mentioned earlier, just we want to make sure that everything's on the up and up and people are doing it right. But going back to one of your earlier points, Dave, I mean, you mentioned that we now have 31 states that are live and legal, right? There's 5 other states that are legal, that are not operational. And obviously I'm taking all of this information off of the American Gaming Association site. I mean, you have an amazing site. If anyone's out there listening or watching their show, go to American Gaming Association's website. There's a great map. It's an interactive map to see all the states, where they are, if they're legal, if they're live, if there's legislation pending. I mean, it's amazing to see. I mean, and from your perspective, Dave, did you think that we would be where we are today so fast?
No, I mean, I joined the AGA right before, like I said, right before it legalized. And I think the industry, I feel like, having not been a part of it, just looking back, had not really changed a lot. You have a new state add gaming here or there. You have one or two iGaming states at the time. And I think, sports betting was sort of, I think, the catalyst to kind of expand the industry and kind of give it a kick in the pants to move forward a little bit. It brought it back to the top of people's minds. Right? Casinos are out there, people are aware of them, but they're not sort of a part of the daily culture like sports betting is for so many people.
Right. I mean, so with the 31 live and legal, there's 5 that have passed laws. You're 36. I mean, I think most people 4 years ago if they would have said we have 36 states at this point, we're like, wow, that's a lot. I don't know if it's going to happen that fast. And I think that's the way that most of us felt. And, it's been amazing to see. And you mentioned that there's been really big, amounts of money that have been bet on sports so far. Specifically, I know you were responsible for a lot of the research the AGA does around how much money is going to be bet, or the estimates on how much money is going to be bet on football this year. What are your thoughts around that, and what are some of the numbers that you've put out?
Sure. So we try to stay away from estimating the size of the actual market and the amount of money people are going to bet, because it's so hard to get people to project that legally. But in terms of participation this year, we think more people overall are going to participate than they ever had before. 18%, almost 1 out of every 5 adults in America say they're going to bet on the NFL this year. And that's only up a little bit from last year. That's up about 2% from last year. And when we talk about betting on the NFL kind of broadly like that, we mean, going to a sports book at a casino to bet, betting online, whether legally or illegally, betting with the bookie down at the corner, betting with a friend, on the couch on Sunday afternoon, or participating in a paid fantasy league of some kind. So it's a kind of a broad universe of betting. And when you look at it that way, again, large chunk of Americans are going to bet on the NFL this year, and it's up modestly. But I think the interesting thing is that the shifting of people between all of those different groups. Overall participation is up about 2%. But when you look at the number of people who say they're going to bet online this year, almost half of the people who are going to bet online this year. That's up more than 100% from 2 years ago. It's up 18% from last year. So that's growing a lot. And I think the other interesting thing is that people who say they're going to bet with a bookie continues to decline. It was a fifth of all bettors 2 years ago. It was something like 15% last year. This year we're down to 13% who are going to bet, explicitly bet illegally with a bookie. So, and it's kind of the same story with the NFL that we saw with the Super Bowl. When we put those numbers out last winter, and March Madness this spring, you're kind of seeing people who for a long time, many years, have bet as part of a bracket contest or a fantasy contest with friends. Now having the opportunity to bet on their phone or bet at a casino, kind of a lot of them are still doing fantasy and brackets and pools, but now they're also moving into that legal kind of traditional betting market. And it's interesting to watch people as they move in that direction, and especially as they move away from the explicitly illegal guys, which is partially a function of the legal market geography expanding, but also people becoming more aware of the legal options that are out there.
Well, I know that the CEO of FanDuel, Amy Howe, is very interested in making sure that more and more people are moving away from the gray markets or the illegal markets into the regulated markets. I mean, how important is that for you and the whole AGA?
Well, it's really important for us and our members. They obviously have a sort of a business, an explicit business stake in doing that, but it's also important. It's important for governments, right? They want to be able to collect tax revenue from this to fund things like education and social services and the other things that they put it towards. And it's also important for consumers. If you're betting at an offshore site, there's no consumer protections, right? There's examples all over the place of sites shutting down without you being able to withdraw your money. You have nobody to go and talk to if you think that something is shady or something goes wrong with your bets. You have no recourse. Whereas here in the United States, you can go talk to a gambling regulator in any state, and they're extremely responsive, and they will work to sort things out. So it's important for basically all the stakeholders, right? Consumers, the gaming companies, and all, as well as state and local governments.
I know another thing that's really important to you and to the AGA and us at 76 Capital is responsible gaming and your Have a Game Plan initiative. Why is that so important to you?
Well, I mean, Have a Game Plan is a really important program for us. It's a proactive campaign to help people understand, just remind people to have fun while they're betting on sports. We have dozens of partners involved now that include obviously our members in the gaming industry, but also teams and leagues involved in all the major sports. We have outside folks like yourself who are involved. And the reason we have such broad support for it is that everybody kind of recognizes the importance of building a sustainable gaming market. And so Have a Game Plan is designed to just remind players that this is supposed to be fun, right? You should know the odds. You should keep it social. You should bet responsibly. And I think it's kind of unique. We've done some research this summer on responsible gaming messaging for consumers, and there's a real disconnect when you ask people, about responsible gaming messaging. Everybody immediately jumps to problem gambling messaging because for a long time that's all people have been exposed to, right? You see an ad, any kind of sports betting ad, and every single one has a 1-800-GAMBLER or a similar number on it, and that's important because there are people who have gambling problems and do need to use that. But that's a distinct message from responsible gaming. Things like Have a Game Plan, right? Reminding people who don't have a gambling problem that this is fun. Just take a beat, step back, right? If you're at a casino, you can get up from the table and go to an ATM or go get a drink or something. But if you're maybe at home playing, you don't have that opportunity, and Have a Game Plan is designed to have people just kind of take a beat, think about what you're doing, remember that it's fun. Don't necessarily have to stop, but it's a game. And it's designed to be entertainment. It's not designed to be anything more than that.
Well, certainly the operators who are putting out, all of these different apps today, they're constantly getting better. They're constantly becoming more and more personalized. They're becoming more, exciting to use. But again, as you said, you just have to have a game plan. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, and the products are fun. They're designing a lot of new ways for people to bet and to kind of bring more excitement to the games. I mean, I'm by no means a big sports bettor. I'm the definition of a casual, unsharp bettor. But like when I bet, yesterday was a Sunday when we're recording this. When I bet yesterday, it made the games more interesting. And if you can come up with new ways for people to bet, everybody. The sharp bettors and the certain industry watchers like to kind of poo-poo parlays and all that stuff as kind of bad bets, but they're fun, and that's why people do them. And not everybody very few people are doing this to make a living, and so the industry is certainly coming up with new, interesting ways for people to bet and to enjoy the product.
Well, it's certainly always interesting to watch on Twitter when someone hits some, several leg parlay. It's always fun to see, and look, that's what it's all about. I mean, you put $10 down and you make some crazy multiple of that. That makes this all, so much more fun, and certainly a lot of fun for that specific person.
Exactly. And there are people out there who make a living doing this, and they're loud voices, but they're not representative of the kind of casual gaming consumer and what they're looking for in this. People understand that this is not a long-term winning proposition. It's a form of entertainment. It's like going to the game. You're not going to make money going to the NFL game. You're probably not going to make money betting on them, but you're going to have fun.
So one of the reasons I was really excited having you on the show, certainly all this information about what AGA is doing and all the great things that you're doing, but also every year you partner and help create G2E, and G2E is the largest gaming convention in the world. It's based in Las Vegas. It's an absolute blast to go to. It's been coming back after COVID, and now I can't find a person that I don't know who's not going to be there. So I'm really excited about going out to Vegas on October 10th for the G2E conference. And Dave, share with us some of the exciting things that are going to be happening at G2E that you and AGA have put together.
Yeah, I'm excited. Everybody I talk to is excited to get back this year. For those who don't know, G2E is kind of the biggest global gaming event for the industry of the year. It's where everybody comes together. They get to see all the newest stuff. They get to hear new ideas. They get to reconnect with people who, in some instances, they might not have seen for two plus years at this year. So I'm really excited about this year. We had it last year. We were one of the first shows, I think, to come back in person, and I think it was a great success. We had great attendance, but it was definitely a little different last year. And I think this year, for the first time, since the spring of 2020, we'll be probably back to feeling like we were before the pandemic. I mean, enthusiasm is strong from folks in the industry. I hear it from folks in the media. We're going to have over 300 some odd exhibitors there. And like I said, we'll have everybody back this year. Last year, I think one of the missing things for people from overseas, from Europe, it was really difficult last year for a lot of people to travel because of various COVID rules or whatnot. And those are by and large gone. So we're going to be really excited to see some of the folks come back from overseas who weren't able to join us last year. And in terms of keynotes, we have a lot of really good content. Our CEO, Bill Miller, is going to give his kind of annual State of the Industry speech one morning there, and I think talk a little bit about some new research that we're going to have to make available for everybody on the size of the illegal gaming market. And then following him, we're going to have, like we did last year, a couple of roundtable discussions hosted by Contessa Brewer from CNBC. The first one is going to feature Craig Billings from Wynn and Derek Stevens from Circa, who are going to talk about kind of the Strip and the Nevada gaming market specifically. Then she'll follow that up with Jay Snowden from Penn Entertainment and Chairman Sue Kim from Bally's, who will talk about kind of regional casino trends and growth. And then finally, you'll probably be most excited for the sports betting and iGaming discussion that she's going to host with Amy Howe from FanDuel and Jason Robbins from DraftKings. So those are kind of the big headline roundtables. I think last year's was really interesting. We had Contessa moderated it. I think she broke a little bit of news with folks who were on it last year. So hopefully she'll do that again this year. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see those. I'm excited to welcome everybody back. We also have a lot of it's all entertaining, but we have a lot of education sessions. I think we have 80 plus education sessions that go on throughout the week that are planned. It's planned by people in the industry for people in the industry. I know you've been involved, Wayne, in putting some of those together. I know you've spoken on a couple of panels in the education sessions in the past, and I think they're always good. I think they've gotten better the last 2 years as we've kind of brought folks from the industry in to help us plan them and make them maybe a little more compelling for people who breathe this day in, day out. So I think a lot of people come to G2E. They might not know that the education stuff is there, but I think it's really interesting and a really valuable component of the show that people should come on in and join for a little while if you're able.
Well, it's unbelievable, to go and see all the exhibitors, the slot machines, the new games, the all the things that are happening across the overall gaming industry, and now the sports betting piece is brought into it. And you mentioned that Contessa is going to be interviewing. I mean, it's amazing how CNBC and Contessa Brewer really have been great partners to G2E, and have, I remember last year broadcasting from the floor, and she interviewed a couple of our CEOs, one of which Matt Holt from US Integrity, and featured a couple of our different companies from on her as part of her reporting that she did there. And then this year, as you said, I mean, she'll have Jason and Amy and talking about FanDuel and DraftKings, the two largest players on the online side of sports betting. And then, my God, I mean, just having Derek Stevens on the stage, I mean, people are going to be blown away. I mean, if people don't know Derek and haven't, taken a trip from the Strip down to Fremont Street and seeing what's going on in downtown Las Vegas, and going to his 3-story sports book, or going outside to see Stadium Swim, which is an unbelievable venue to actually be able to go swimming and have a drink and place bets. I mean, there's nothing like it. It's amazing. You mentioned Jay Snowden, so I think it was a couple of weeks ago, you had the Barstool guys at Circa by the pool. I mean, so it's like everyone kind of working together in this industry, doing some really fun things together, and that's what, to me, that's what G2E is all about. I mean, unbelievable networking and opportunity for people to just learn and get to know all the major people across the industry. And we're really excited to have had the opportunity to talk with you, learn about all the things that are going on in the industry, hearing about what's coming up in G2E, and I get to also then talk to Korbi, and she'll give me kind of the angle on how everything worked out there. So Dave, I appreciate it, and you coming on the show.
Well, thanks for having me. Korbi is much better equipped than I am to talk about the nitty gritty of G2E, but hopefully people should come, people should enjoy it, and I hope to I know I'll see you there. I hope to see a lot of other folks there too.
Well, absolutely. And I can't let you go. One last thing, Dave. I mean, when you look at G2E and you look at this conference that again, it's the largest gaming conference in the world, what are some of your memories over the last couple of years, or the couple of things that have really sort of stood out, or things, or maybe even something that you're really, really looking forward to doing this year?
Well, I think one of the things that we've kind of tried to change a little, and you touched on this earlier when you kind of noted that CNBC and Contessa Brewer have kind of been out front on and getting into gaming. I think a few years ago, better than I was, gaming as an investment area was kind of sleepy. People didn't pay that much attention to it maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And now, it gets a lot more coverage. It's a lot more high profile in the investment space. Obviously, you're paying a lot of attention to it. So we have CNBC there. We had filming from the floor last year. We've also we had it last year. We're going to have it again. Last year you participated. We're going to have it again this year. We've tried to incorporate some financial and investment tracks into the education sessions, where people can talk about kind of the industry as an investment vehicle and the industry as a business. So we didn't have that before, and I think that's something that's really interesting that we've added to G2E to kind of capitalize on a lot of the attention that the industry is getting from the investment community.
Well, once again, Dave, it's been really great having you on the show. Please, send our best to the rest of the AGA team, and I look forward to seeing everybody, out there in Las Vegas on October 10th through the 15th. And we'll all be, at the Las Vegas Convention Center, walking around, and hopefully everyone gets a chance to meet everybody. I think that's one of the beautiful things about the conference is just, there's just, everyone is pretty much accessible, walking around, trying to just figure out ways to really make the overall industry better. Yeah,
it's great. I look forward to seeing you out there, seeing other folks out there. Make sure you come to the Venetian Convention Center. Don't go to the Las Vegas Convention Center, but we'll see you. We'll see you there. It's a really friendly group. It's a great time, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody in a few weeks.
The Venetian Convention Center in Las Vegas for G2E. Thanks, David. Really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks, Wayne. Anytime.
Korbi, welcome to our 76 Capital Sports Leadership Show.
Hi, Wayne. It's great to see you. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, it's awesome to have you on the show. Just had such a great conversation. with Dave Forman from the AGA. And it's exciting to have you, Korbi Carrison, the event vice president of G2E, on our 76 Capital Sports Leadership Show. And I just can't wait to hear more about G2E and really from the expert, the person that runs the whole thing. I mean, Dave was saying he knows a little bit, he knows about the programming, but I really hope that you can share with us all the, what's G2E all about and why do people go?
Yeah, I would love to share that, Wayne. First of all, G2E is the premier gaming event for the industry worldwide, encompassing the commercial and tribal gaming entities. So it is a place for people to come and do business from all over the world, regardless of the type of gaming that you're involved in. G2E came into existence in 2001 as a partnership between Reed Exhibitions and the American Gaming Association. So it's a joint venture that we work on together. And we serve the global gaming industry in lots of different ways. We provide a lot of thought leadership, education across the sector, a lot of networking opportunities, and perhaps the most looked forward to piece of G2E is the expo hall floor, which will be open October 11th through 13th in Las Vegas, just not too far away.
Well, it's really exciting. This is a big year for G2E. Last year was kind of almost back. This year, it's fully back. People will be able to come from all over the world to G2E. This must be an exciting time for you. And also, it's a really exciting time from the vantage point of what we look at from 76 Capital about how many sports related entities, sports betting operators, and just all the different kind of newer pieces to the gaming industry in the regulated gaming industry across the US are now part of G2E. It must be exciting for you as well.
Our whole team just cannot wait to be on site. It's been a long journey the last few years, that's for sure. And our team really puts so much into making G2E a great experience for all of our attendees and our exhibitors. And certainly the landscape of all of that has changed since 2018 with the overturning of PASPA. That was a very different G2E. Going back before that, there was not a lot of talk about sports betting at G2E in those days. And certainly that has changed a lot in the last 4 years.
Well, what was G2E like? I mean, if you can give a little bit pre-PASPA, when sports betting became such a big part of it, what was mostly happening at G2E?
There were a lot of people interested in what we call core gaming, and that is anything that you might see at a casino. So anything from slot machine technology, table games, a lot of different non-gaming, perhaps, things that you might see at casinos, entertainment. Certainly payments technologies were well represented at G2E. And the sports betting piece was represented somewhat, but nothing like it is today. It's always been a popular part of the casinos where it has been legal. And certainly we have seen a big expansion of that in the last 4 years.
So what are some of the things that we should look out for this year, specifically from a sports betting perspective at G2E this year?
Well, this year, I think you'll see more than ever the presence in the education program around sports betting. And if I go back in my mind all the way to 2018, which was the first year that we really had a focused lens on sports betting, we had a sports betting symposium at G2E that year for the very first time. And we were talking about topics like how do you get into the space? What sort of vendors should you look for if you're interested in getting into that space? And certainly over the last few years, our audience has really consumed a lot of that knowledge and really gone beyond that sort of point of view. So some of the things that I was just looking at our education program, and there are a lot of different and really robust offerings, things that aren't just about how do you function in a sports betting environment, but it also has topics such as how does sports betting appear in the Native American casino environment, or How do you appeal to women who are perhaps sports bettors or betting on women's sports, all the way over to what's the intersection between sports betting and the financial community? That's not something that we were talking about 4 years ago, but certainly today it's really top of mind. So that's also where you come and you learn about these topics or interact with people who are like-minded and want to discuss those topics in the education program. But that carries over into the expo hall. And there are so many of those technology providers that you can meet at G2E in the expo hall and see what new offerings they might have. Things have certainly evolved in the American space, that's for sure, and globally as well, in the Latin American space too. So there are a lot of providers of the technologies that have new things to share and are anxious to have conversations across the ecosystem for gaming.
I think it's a really interesting point you just made. I mean, sports betting and the regulated sports betting in the United States is a new thing. And it's, as you said, since 2018. But sports betting is not a new thing around the rest of the world. And I think there's something what's really interesting. And one of the things I love about G2E is the fact that you get an opportunity to meet people from all over the world. And you can learn so much from these, you said, whether it's technology companies, operators that have been operating in a regulated market and now are coming to the US to do business here. So it's really fascinating to see how much networking and opportunities that you get to meet people while you're there.
That's true. And I think, Wayne, one thing that you and I have talked about going back a long ways is that sports is something that people are passionate about. Sports came on the scene, of course, ages ago, but more recently, sports equals sports betting. And that's something that people are talking about now that the US has a regulated sports betting environment, and sports betting really does equal G2E. So if you're interested in that regulated and legal sports environment, G2E is the place to be to connect with people about sports betting and about sports as well.
Well, it's really going to be an exciting time in Las Vegas at the Venetian Convention Center, where it all happens, and it's amazing. And I know that, Dave shared with me that there are going to be some great keynote speakers. We talked about Amy Howe from FanDuel. We talked about the fact that Jason from DraftKings will also be there. And then, I remember, one of the events that we did that you came to at Circa in their brand new 3-story sports book. I heard that Derek Stevens is also going to be one of the speakers.
He is, and he always has fun and interesting things to say. So it'll be really great to hear him teamed up with Craig Billings, and of course being moderated conversation by Contessa Brewer. So that will be really interesting to see where their conversation goes. And certainly that property is amazing, and the sports book is really second to none.
Well, I said in earlier with Dave, I said, if you haven't seen it, you got to go check it out while you're in town. Go and see what he built. I mean, it really is. It's really interesting. It's certainly something that's innovative and really pushing things to the future. But at the same time, when you really walk around town in Las Vegas over the last couple of years, a lot of the casino operators have really upgraded what they're doing. There's a lot of new, interesting things happening out there. I guess in a couple of years from now at G2E, the Mirage will not be the Mirage. So that'll be interesting to see what's going to be across the street from there. So it's really interesting to see how much excitement and also innovation and new developments that are occurring across the industry, not only in Las Vegas, but now really truly across all the United States, Canada, Latin America, as you described. I mean, there's so much happening really truly everywhere now in this industry, which has just really gotten to continue to get to grow and grow and grow. And the opportunities for people to get involved and come out and learn about it is really going to be special. So Korbi, I got to tell you, like, I'm excited. What haven't we talked about? What else should people check out while they're in town?
Well, certainly we would love to have you check out the expo hall at G2E, which is going to include the Innovation Lab. And that's not a brand new concept, but we have some new programming inside the Innovation Lab and a lot to do with emerging technologies. We've had chatting about sports related concepts in the Innovation Lab before, but this year will be more than ever, and some really interesting conversations that you can't miss. Check out the website globalgamingexpo.com, and there you'll see some details about what's happening in the Innovation Lab as well as the other part of our core education program. But I would encourage everyone, as you go and you visit those sports vendors, check out the Innovation Lab, check out the conversations and the emerging technology there too.
Well, we have a little special gift, I would say, right, to all of our viewers and listeners that have hung in there and really listen to this really exciting conversation around G2E on our 76 Capital Sports Leadership Show. And, Korbi, why don't you share with everybody what you're offering?
Certainly. Well, we want to invite all the friends of 76 Capital to come to G2E Expo Hall for free. So we've given Wayne a special code, and you can go online. I think Wayne will be linking that code along with this webcast, and you can click on that, go through the registration process on the G2E website, and you will be able to access the expo hall at G2E for free. So we just really want to encourage everybody who is within the 76 Capital ecosystem, interested in sports betting and in gaming more broadly. Please join us at G2E. Education starts on October 10th. Expo Hall will be open the 11th through the 13th. And we are sure that there will be something that you'll learn and people that you will connect with in order to move your business forward.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, that's amazing. We will absolutely post this link. And all you need is a plane ticket to go out to Vegas, or if you're in Nevada, just stop over to the Venetian and come on in and use the code that we'll provide. And that's just so kind. And thank you so much, for sharing this with our audience. We'll definitely help fill the place for you. And I mean, my God, fill the place. As I was saying earlier, I don't know anyone who's not going. So you'll be part of not only just the gaming community from around the world, but also the sports community. I mean, teams, leagues, brands, everyone's coming out because everyone recognizes the opportunity in and around, sports and gaming and the opportunity to really continue to grow an industry that could be and is, quite frankly, and will be even bigger. So it's an exciting time for all of us. And again, Korbi, thank you. Thanks you to G2E, to AGA, to Dave and the whole team over there. I mean, it's been great having you on the show, and I can't wait to see everybody in Las Vegas. As you said, starting on the 10th of October, the exhibit hall opening on the 11th, running through the week, and it will be a great time for all.
Great. Thank you, Wayne. We can't wait to see you there.
All right. See everyone at G2E. Thanks, everybody.